The gangway connecting Terminal D to Flight 227, a Boeing 737 headed from Atlanta to Washington, D.C., was cramped, metallic, and stale with recycled air. Outside, the morning bustle at Hartsfield-Jackson was in full swing, travelers crisscrossing like ants, announcements blaring, and luggage wheels rolling across tile. But inside the tunnel leading onto the plane, tension eclipsed the usual airport noise, thick and choking like smoke. Special Agent Camille Dawson, a composed, sharp-featured black woman in her mid-30s, took her final steps toward the aircraft door. She wore tailored black slacks, a soft cream blouse, and a dark blazer, professional but unassuming, fit for her high-stakes meeting in D.C. She had just handed her boarding pass to the flight attendant, a young man named Daniel Liu, when a voice barked from behind her. "Stop right there." Startled, Camille turned. Two uniformed airport officers were striding her way. The first, a red-faced, broad-shouldered man with a scowl etched into his features, wore a badge marked Sergeant Rick Delaney. The younger one, trailing behind Officer Peter Lang, looked tense, uneasy even, but followed closely, unsure of his place. Delaney said nothing at first. He simply reached out, grabbed Camille's arm, and yanked her backward. Her heels slid slightly against the gangway floor, nearly causing her to fall. The confusion barely registered before indignation flared in her chest. "Where do you think you're going in such a hurry?" Delaney growled. "I'm boarding my flight, like every other passenger," she replied, cool but firm, her voice steady despite the sudden aggression. Delaney scoffed and let his eyes rake over her blazer, the leather briefcase at her side, and her composed expression. "You don't look like a regular passenger," he said. "What are you really up to?" Lang shifted awkwardly but didn't speak. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Delaney, on the other hand, stepped closer and snapped, "Check her papers." Daniel, the flight attendant, stood in stunned silence by the door, his once-practiced smile replaced by a grimace. Passengers behind Camille halted, watching with growing alarm. Camille kept her composure. From her bag, she pulled out her Georgia driver's license and boarding pass and handed them over. Delaney snatched them, barely glancing before tossing them back like trash. He leaned in, his tone sour and loud enough for those nearby to hear. "You got money, huh? Think a nice suit makes you clean? We see people like you all the time around here, thinking they can fool us." Camille's jaw tensed. "Sergeant Delaney," she said evenly, "your comments are inappropriate and discriminatory. If you do not have a valid reason to detain me, then this is harassment." The use of his name, the calm tone, the reference to the law, it all seemed to provoke him. Delaney's face flushed a deeper red. "Oh, now you're going to teach me about the law?" he spat. He spun around toward Lang. "Put her in cuffs." Resisting an officer. Lang hesitated. He looked from Camille to Delaney, clearly shaken. His hand trembled as he reached for the handcuffs on his belt. "You have no legal right to do this," Camille warned. "I am not resisting. I've provided identification. You have no cause to detain me." "Shut up," Delaney barked, shoving her toward the side railing. Resisting again. Lang, pale and reluctant, stepped forward and quickly snapped the cuffs on her wrists. The cold steel bit into her skin. The sound of the metal locking echoed like a gunshot. Around them, the gangway had gone silent. Daniel Liu stood frozen in place. A handful of passengers watched with horrified expressions. No one moved. No one intervened. Camille didn't yell. She didn't curse. She let the fire boil beneath her skin, but outwardly, she remained composed. She knew better than to scream at power-drunk men in uniform. Especially not here. Especially not now. Delaney wore a triumphant smirk. Lang looked like he wanted to vanish. Camille stayed quiet, breathing deeply, letting her training take over. Even cuffed, she was calculating, scanning for cameras, witnesses, exits, escape routes. She had been trained to handle situations under threat, and she would treat this one the same. She remembered everything. The call she'd taken while waiting to board, routine work matters. Her discreet earpiece. The gate agent, a young woman named Lillian Zhao, who had checked her boarding pass with professionalism. Everything had been normal. Until it wasn't. Now, Delaney dragged her backward through the gangway. Camille moved with him, offering no resistance, buying herself time. She noted the dome-shaped cameras in the ceiling, at least 2 in the boarding area, and 1 angled toward the jet bridge. Good. She wasn't invisible. This would all be on record. Outside in the terminal, passengers whispered and stared. Delaney shoved her forward, toward an employee-only corridor. Camille stiffened. She knew what that meant. They wanted her away from the public, out of sight, isolated. She couldn't let that happen. Camille stopped walking. "I need to make a phone call," she said. Delaney spun around. "No, you don't. Move or I'll make you." "I have the right to call my attorney and my commanding officer," she said louder now so others could hear. "This is an illegal detainment and I am a federal agent in active duty." Lang's eyes widened. Delaney sneered. "Federal agent, huh?" he mocked. "That's some kind of bluff?" She didn't answer. Instead, she twisted just enough to shift the angle of her body, then used a basic maneuver to step back from Lang's grasp. She didn't run, didn't lash out. She just pivoted, drew a breath, and projected her voice across the terminal like a siren. "I am Special Agent Camille Dawson, Bureau ID 6524 of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You are currently detaining a federal officer without cause. You are in violation of multiple state and federal statutes." The ripple of silence that followed was instant. Delaney froze mid-step. Lang looked like someone had slapped him. Passengers who'd been milling about now turned to look stunned. Lillian Zhao covered her mouth. A security guard near the wall dropped the coffee he'd been holding. Camille reached into her jacket, twisting her cuffed arms just enough to reveal a metal ID card. The seal of the FBI glinted under the fluorescent lights. Her photo, her name, her badge number. All doubt evaporated. Delaney's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. No way," he stammered. "Yuri, this can't be." Camille didn't flinch. Lang looked like he might faint. "Oh God, what have we done?" The begging began almost instantly. Agent Dawson, ma'am, we so sorry," Delaney muttered, fumbling for the key to her cuffs. "We didn't know. Please, it was a misunderstanding." Lang, voice cracking, joined in. "I'm sorry, Agent. I didn't mean toy, just I thought." Camille stepped back, her eyes like ice. "Don't move," she said sharply. "Both of you stand down." Delaney froze, hand halfway to the cuffs. Lang lowered his eyes. Camille turned to Lillian Zhao. "Radio your supervisor. I want the APD duty sergeant here now." Yes, ma'am," the gate agent replied, scrambling to comply. Camille then pulled out her phone and speed-dialed the number for her ASAC, Raymond Holt. "Holt," she said as soon as he answered. "Camille Dawson. ATL Gate D7? I've just been illegally detained and cuffed by APD officers Delaney and Lang. I need you and a response team here immediately." The response was swift. Within 15 minutes, Sergeant Julius Mendez Delaney and Lang's commanding officer arrived on scene. He was accompanied by 3 airport police officers and a growing crowd of curious travelers and staff. Camille stood in the center of it, all her wrists still red from the cuffs, her expression unmoved. Azek Holt and 3 other plainclothes FBI agents appeared minutes later, all of them moving quickly but professionally. "What the hell happened here?" Mendez demanded, approaching his officers. Camille stepped forward. "Sergeant, I'm Special Agent Camille Dawson. Your officers detained me without probable cause, used discriminatory language, and arrested me in full view of civilians. I request they be placed on immediate administrative leave pending a full investigation." Mendez's jaw locked. Holt flashed his credentials. "Sergeant," he said sternly, "we expect full cooperation. I want their weapons, badges, and radios. Now." Delaney looked like he might cry. Lang didn't speak at all. Mendez didn't argue. "Delaney, Lang, hand them over." Wordlessly, the 2 officers surrendered their gear. Delaney's hands shook as he unclipped his badge. Lang looked straight ahead, blinking rapidly. Camille gave instructions to seal all security footage and collect witness testimony. Daniel Liu, Lillian Zhao, and several passengers gave statements on the spot. Security tapes were logged and sealed. No one moved without her knowledge. The next day, the Atlanta Police Department launched a full internal affairs investigation. Civil rights groups were already calling for answers. News of the incident leaked to local media. The pressure was immediate and heavy. Over the next 2 weeks, interviews were conducted. Witnesses spoke out. Video footage was analyzed. Delaney tried to defend himself, blamed Camille for being aggressive, claimed he was just doing his job. Lang, in contrast, confessed everything. He admitted he'd had no reason to stop her. That Delaney was profiling her. That he was afraid to speak up. His statement sealed the case. Both officers were terminated. Camille received a personal apology from Chief Mathers, the APD's commissioner. She accepted it with grace but made it clear the apology didn't erase what happened. Her next flight to D.C. was quiet. No handcuffs. No confrontation. Just the steady heartbeat of someone who knew what it meant to stand tall in the face of injustice and win. Justice didn't always come in courtrooms. Sometimes it came in crowded terminals with a voice loud enough to command silence and a badge strong enough to hold back abuse. Camille Dawson walked on, her steps unwavering.